For sure, for sure. I am not here just by chance. There is a higher power, God, that dictates my journey and all of our journeys. And I live my life by God's word. And since around that time that you mentioned at the last event, I've engaged on a spiritual journey. And I'm saved, I am healed. And on the back of that, the world is in for a treat. The world is in for a treat. My competitive spark that was once in my heart is now a roaring.
Okay, I want to talk about the recent Conor McGregor press conference for BKFC that was held in Italy, and specifically where McGregor attested to being healed. That was his words. I'm healed and I've been saved. And while as poetic and beautiful as it may sound, I just want to come out the gate and say that that's not true. That guy is not healed and he hasn't been saved, or as much as he thinks he has been saved. And I want to kind of break it down why this happens. And I'm going to speak from personal experience. Now, I'm not shitting on McGregor. This isn't a shit on Conor McGregor or hate video whatsoever. I don't know the guy personally. He has no impact on my life. He sure as fuck doesn't know who I am. So it's all good. But let's just start from the beginning. We all know McGregor's history. He rose to fame and stardom pretty quickly, and then it all went to shit. We know he's been involved with the law on a just insurmountable amount of times, a plethora of, civil cases against him, lawsuits against him. And it's pretty clear to see without any clinical evidence that he has an addiction problem of sorts. I would hedge a guess at cocaine and or alcohol, and I'm not the only one who says that. Of course, this is alleged, we don't know that, but there seems to be some characteristic change when it comes to McGregor over the last 6, 7, 8+ years. And the way it works with law or issues coming into your life, if you're not aware of this, which you probably are if you're watching this video, is it doesn't just find you. Like bad luck and crime doesn't just find you. Yeah, sure, you can get unlucky here and there, but the reality is you find it, and it's down to your inner world. Nothing to do with the external, it's down to you. So, as we know, McGregor hasn't fought for about 4 years, I think it is. I think it was 2021 the last time he fought against Dustin Poirier, and he's flirted and threatened comebacks, but most of the public weren't naive enough to believe that was ever going to be a reality, because once again, he just got found out with the law. He was misbehaving, up to no good, had cases and lawsuits coming out of left, right and centre out of his asshole. And he's just never moved forward. He's just never, ever moved forward. Every public appearance we've seen him in as of late for the last few years, in my opinion, he has just not been sober. That is from BKFC press conferences, that is live events at the actual BKFC events, even the film he did for Roadhouse. He was absolutely smashed in an interview with Jake Gyllenhaal. I can just go on and on and on. He's never been sober. And he almost got to be a laughing stock. He's living on a yacht and he's doing all the things he wants to do. And that's okay because you're a multi-millionaire. That's absolutely fine. But there was a really interesting question at BKFC a few days ago now by a journalist there. And he basically attested to Conor McGregor's little speech he gave at the Mike Perry versus Jeremy Stephens fight, one of their press conferences. And he was talking actually quite candidly and in depth actually about how it's exhausting and it's quite hard being the fighter and being the promoter to a degree, because whatever you think about McGregor, whatever you say about McGregor, we have to be honest here and say he is one of, if not the best self-promoters and marketeers ever known anywhere. Obviously in combat sports, he pretty much tops the bill. I mean, you can talk about Muhammad Ali and some other people, but McGregor is up there, right? He has to be top 3 of all time. And it might be a while before he's replaced, to be honest, because even though he's been out of the game for so long, He still has a way to stay relevant, and he still gets spoken about because any publicity is good publicity, right? So the promoter, or the journalist asked him a question about it, and McGregor was candid and said, listen, it's exhausting. You're always having to put an act on. You're having to put this image on that you want people to think of you, and it's exhausting, and I just can't, it's tough. And this journalist brought that up again. And McGregor went on a lovely little pitch, if you will, about how he's been saved. So the first thing you'll see what he says is that he lives life by God's word. Now, again, I'm not here to assassinate McGregor. I don't know the guy, but I just call bullshit on that. He's, again, threatened to have this religious occupancy in his life numerous times in his career, and it coincidentally happens when he falls off the wagon, right? When he gets involved with the law, he seems to think he comes to his senses and says, I found God and I found religion. This isn't the first time he's done this. And I vow to never cheat on my wife or send nudes with my cock out. I vow to be a good boy. And it just never lasts. And I'm not telling you something you don't already know. You're not naive. You're probably watching this video thinking, well, yeah, sure, but we all know this. Some people, though, the reason I'm doing this is some people are naive and they have hope for McGregor. I think we all do to a degree. I'm just kind of over it by now. But when he says he lives life by God's word, he's never lived life by God's word. He just hasn't. That's just not the way it is. And he flip-flops, and it's almost it's a coping mechanism. He's coping right now, as the kids would say, right? He's coping, bro. No, but he's coping. And then he went on to say, well, since the last time he held a press conference for Stevens against Perry, he said here, and I've written it down, he's engaged on a spiritual journey, and he's saved, and he says, I am healed. Do you know how long ago that Jeremy Stevens and Mike Perry fight was? It was about 3 weeks ago. Now, this is where it can get deep. Can he be healed in 3 weeks? The answer is no. 99. Okay, here's the deal. I've had an addiction problem before with alcohol. Okay. Now, for 99.999% of the population ever in this world, you are not healed like that. It is an ongoing thing, and I'm sure people watching this video have suffered with addiction in one way or another. It is an ongoing thing, and it's an ongoing battle, and it's an internal process that you have to get through. The chances of McGregor being healed in 3 weeks, considering the type of addiction he had, he was never sober that we saw him. I can't imagine his personal life. The chance of him being healed in 3 weeks is slim, to be honest. Now, some people do find God. They say that, and they're saved by God, and it's like a light switch goes off, and they're healed. Some people have what they call a spiritual awakening, and it's in an instant. But the reality is, again, for 99.99 reoccurring percent of people in this planet Earth, it doesn't work that way. It is a slow, gradual process with a lot of unpacking, a lot of tears to be shed, a lot of trauma to be healed that stems back from likely childhood. And this shit just doesn't go in 3 weeks. This guy, and again, I'm not shitting on McGregor here, this guy was absolutely off his box 3 weeks ago at that press conference and at the actual event. Conor McGregor was fucked. He was not sober. And in 3 weeks, just because he may not have taken anything for a week or two now, does not mean he's healed. And in my opinion, he's coping. And if he needs to cope, that's okay. Again, I'm not shitting on McGregor. That's okay, but the reality is, people, he's not healed. It's just a coping mechanism, and people find ways to cope through addiction in different ways. Some people start the gym and they go crazy. They're going 7 days a week for 2 hours a day because it's something to replace the addiction that was keeping you stuck. Some people just start fucking different people left, right, and center. They just try and fuck their way through their pain and try and heal their pain through shagging different people. Some people change from drugs to drink. Some people start smoking weed, right? And have some kind of addiction to that. Some people work insanely stupid hours, right? You're essentially trying to replace the addiction with something else. But when it comes to McGregor, I don't know what he's doing. No one really knows what he's doing. But I would hedge a bet he's absolutely not healed. And this is not the first time we've heard him say this, and it absolutely won't be the last time we're going to hear him say this. And again, I respect that he's trying to be sober. He's got the wedding band on his finger, I noticed. He's not married yet to Dee Devlin. He mentioned her briefly in the press conference, saying his soon-to-be wife. All this looks good on paper, and it sounds good to everybody. And then more importantly, it sounds good to him to convince himself that he's healed and that he's going to get through this and he's going to come out smelling of roses and life's going to change for the better. And sure as fuck, I hope it does. Again, for the 15th time, I'm not hating on McGregor. But the reality is with addiction, it does not change in 3 weeks if he's been sober that long. I think he's coping, and that's okay if he needs to do it. But I'm telling you from experience and other addicts that I've met over the years, you can cope as much as you want. It will come back and bite you on the ass unless you're doing the proper inner work. And the only way for McGregor to get through this addiction that he clearly has, seemingly, would be to get professional help. And maybe he is getting professional help. Maybe he is. I hope he is. But I don't think we're going to see him back in the octagon anytime soon. He can keep putting up his pretty pad work on Instagram, and he can keep giving us the best bits of his sparring sessions when he's knocking 10 bells of shit out of a 22-year-old kid who couldn't tie his fucking shoelaces. It's largely a facade, respectfully. I wish him the best, but he has to go inward to get through this. It's not something that can be done in 3 weeks' time, especially with the track record that Conor McGregor has. It just doesn't go like that. I'm telling you from experience, it doesn't go. And most of you watching this will be like, well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, of course. But the reason I'm doing this video, as I felt compelled to do it, is because a lot of people are unaware because they've never suffered with addiction before. And he is one of the best self-promoters in the world and marketeers in the world, especially when it comes to combat sports. And people believe it. They want to believe it. I don't really want to believe it because I don't believe it. And I don't give a shit if he comes or goes. I'm over McGregor now. I have been for a long time, like most people. But that's the reality. I wish him nothing but the best. But there's too much damage there for him just to be healed in 3 weeks. So don't buy it. That's my advice.